Ever wonder why your online game suddenly feels unfair? In this episode, I sat down with Andrew Wailes, the founder of PlaySafeID, who's on a mission to make cheating in games actually matter. What started as a friendly bet with his buddies turned into a crusade against the billion-dollar cheating economy, complete with fake accounts, bot farms, cartels, and even money laundering. We talk about why most anti-cheat tools don't work, how cheating ruins player time and destroys retention, the surprisingly huge business behind cheats, and how PlaySafe is building one life digital codes to make players accountable without killing privacy. This one's for game devs, trust and safety teams, and anyone who's tired of bots farming your raid drops. Hit play, follow Player Driven, make sure you share this, and enjoy the episode. We are joined by Andrew Wailes. He is the founder of PlaySafe ID. It's really cool technology. Andrew, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Great to be here. Thank you very much. So yeah, my name is Andrew Wailes. I'm the CEO of PlaySafeID. So my background over the last 5-6 years is startups in game economics and behavioral analytics. And yeah, just lifelong love for the games industry. PlaySafeID, we're an anonymized and random digital identifier for players. So everyone can claim one. They can only ever get the one. It provides accountability. So people who are caught cheating, hacking, botting, being inappropriate to kids, we can actually give them a meaningful penalty and keep them out of games. So it's not just a penalty to their game account, it's a penalty to their PlaySafe ID. So meaningful accountability for the first time.
I love your approach of work hard now and then you can relax. The thing is you're going to become addicted to this.
Well, the challenge I have, right? So when I was 16, I made a bet with myself. I said to myself, I'm going to just kill myself over the next 16 years. I'm going to sacrifice everything. I'm going to forgo everything. I'm just going to work as hard as I possibly can. And I'll see where I get to when I'm 32. I always knew I wanted a family. I always knew I wanted a wife and kids and, all that kind of stuff. And what I was hoping was by doing that sacrifice, I'll be in a position that I could have the nice house, have a nice car, have a nice little nest egg, be in a really good position. So I'm 31 now, and we've got a nice house. Everything's kind of coming together well. It's the bet has served me well. Not that it hasn't been hard and painful. It's been really hard and it's been really painful. I've lost so many friends, traveling around the country all of the time, contracts and for work and stuff. But you've got to make trade-offs.
I'm curious that your mindset changed on work through all that stuff once your firstborn was born.
It's been difficult because obviously having to be the support network for my missus and also help with little one and stuff like that. That was a tough period for sure. Because it's another massive responsibility. It's another really big thing to do. But I'm very mission driven and I'm very mission focused and I love gaming. I love the games industry and it's a huge passion of mine. And unfortunately, it's in a state that I don't like to see it in. So it's been tough. I've still been working very obsessively, and I'm very fortunate that I have an incredibly supportive partner who, if I miss a dinner because I've got calls and I've got meetings and stuff, she doesn't kick my ass for it. It's really funny, right? If I need to spend a couple of weeks absolutely grinding hard and I'm just invisible to the world, she's like, you've got this, honey, no problem. But if I bring home salted butter instead of unsalted butter, World War III. It's so she's amazing on the big things and then kicks my ass a bit on the little things. But
you learn how to juggle these balls, and as you get older, right? I used to always tell people, I was a tier 1 support rep for my first job, and I'd browse Reddit or wherever Reddit was at the day, and I'd learn forums, and I'd download all these things, IIRC. I don't know if you ever used that or stuff that. And you fuck around with all this stuff, and then you get older, you get more responsibilities, so you start having to take away some stuff from this learning. And now I'm 39, right? It's just all right, 2 kids. When am I going to sit down and study? When am I going to sit down and do work? When am I going to sit down and play with my kids? When am I going to sleep? Because I'm old now and I can't stay up like I used to. It's like taking from some buckets. And when you have a partner that's willing to say, hey, keep taking from this bucket for now, I got this covered, it's such a sigh of relief. And you both agree on this bigger picture. And I think there's just kind of that mental, we got this together as a team, and it's easier when you're in it with someone because you have that person you can push against.
100%. I literally said to my missus last night, for the record, I absolutely do not have a harder job than you in any way, shape, or form. Like, she'll if baby wakes up at like 4:45 in the morning, it's like she's there. Like, there's no respite. There's no let up.
I'm going to back this conversation up a minute. On our pre-call, first of all, I love what you said. You made this bet with yourself that when you're 32, you're in this position. On our pre-call, you talked to me about how you made a bet with your buddies on
Yes.
kind of fixing
Apparently,
cheating.
I'm a
So there's
betting man.
two ways this conversation go. We could talk about potentially the gambling addict Andrew here, who I'm talking to on the phone right now, or the person who's building PlaySafeID. So let's go back to that initial bet, that one that you made with your mates here. Let me know how it came to be and what was the context.
Basically, at a previous company that I was working at, there was just a bit of a slow period. So I found myself just playing some games with mates on downtime and stuff like that. And we've all been hardcore gamers like our whole lives. Like we've all known each other for like a decade as well. Like we're all super tight. And basically, we all just realized pretty much everything that we were playing, like regardless of what game it was or what genre it was, we were just coming across so many cheaters and people that were obviously cheating. And we were just like, fuck me, it never used to be like this. This is the worst it has ever been. Um, and my mates know what I do for work, and they were like, "Hey, you work in like startups and tech and stuff like that. You know, fix this for us." And I was just like, "All right, sure. I'll just fix cheating in games. I'll just do that. Just give me 5 minutes, guys. No problem." But I really started to think about it, and I was like, I don't see why this can't be solved. Like, the real problem here is a lack of accountability. The real problem here is it doesn't matter if you're caught cheating. Gaming's gotten way bigger than anyone ever thought it would. Like, it is absolutely monolithic. And there's so many reasons why people cheat. You know, games have evolved to be games as a service. They have so many live ops functions like ranked and leaderboards. There's the whole boom of content creators. So you have people that always need to produce engaging content. How are you good enough to always produce engaging content? Are you always playing on your on your A game, or do you need a little bit of help? You need to monetize clips that you're making. You need to be engaging with people to stream to have your audience. So there's this melting pot of it growing so much, it being such a popular, cool thing. Like in the late 90s and early 2000s, it was still a bit of a nerdy thing, especially Call of Duty was kind of cool, but pretty much most other games were a little bit nerdy and stuff. Now nerd culture is the cool thing. So there's this real cultural shift that's happened. There's this real societal shift that's happened. This industry has gone absolutely bananas. The playing field has changed. There's so many reasons why people cheat, out of frustration, out of opportunity, whatever. Um, so much has been spent into developing anti-cheats, detection models, stuff like that, and they do a great job. The problem is, though, is it just doesn't matter if you're caught cheating, because you can just create a new account and come straight back in. I saw a video of a cheater that was being interviewed by a streamer the other day, literally just the other day. And he was saying that he has a notepad document with 1,000 accounts in there. So if he's caught cheating and his account's banned, he just copies and pastes the new details in, launches the game, and he's back in within 30 seconds. Like, that's the kind of stuff that's going on here. And this is just a guy that's kind of like, he's not casually cheating, he's cheating quite properly. But then you get people that do this for a job, like real money trading. So they'll cheat to sell items to get in-game currency and sell it for real money and stuff like that. And there's this whole organization element to it. And I'm waffling a lot here, but I just sat back and I thought, all of this I think could be solved if it mattered if you were caught cheating. Like, if you had this one life across all games and services, and if you were caught, you faced a meaningful penalty. So you couldn't just create a new account and come back in. You couldn't just keep iterating cheats with accounts getting banned and then just keep going. You couldn't have this unlimited lives. I think that cheating could really be solved. Fair play could be solved. Players could have a much better time, and game developers would be able to monetize their players much better from a business perspective. They'd have happier players that retain better, that spend more. All if we could actually do something about cheating. And yeah, the route for that for me was, let's just give them this one life and see how that goes.
You said a lot there, and I found there was a
Sorry,
lot.
that was
No, yeah, don't be sorry. It's just I think it's so cool to hear it like that. You talked about it with your friends. You were playing a game, like most friends do, and you say, "Hey, solve this, Andrew. You're smart." Curious at the time, kind of what were the roles and jobs that you were doing where they come to you, Andrew, thinking he's the techie guy. Like, what were you doing?
Yeah, no, for sure. So the role immediately before this, I was one of the VPs at a company doing game economics
Okay.
and doing some cool stuff in that space. And then that was acqui-hired, and then I moved to a company that was doing some behavioral analytics, player-based behavioral analytics stuff for ad tech.
So you're
So
kind of
very much,
you're
yeah,
kind of built to land right here of, hey, I could see how this is impacting the monetization for a game and how it's affecting the attitudes of the players. I need to find a way that I could help both of these audiences, and it comes down to how do you stop the cheater from playing the game.
100%. And cheater encapsulating bots as well, right? Because one of the things that we saw a lot on the game economics side of things is you'll build a system by which, in a perfect world, and kind of like this in a vacuum, it will work perfectly. But then when it hits real players and when it hits bot accounts and when it hits all of these different scenarios, the whole thing can fall over very quickly. And unfortunately, if you have a very popular game and you have a very intricate economy and you start having bot accounts go in, game economics isn't about monetary policy. Game economics is about valuing a player's time. That's what it actually boils down to. It's about all of the inputs and outputs. It's all about the sinks and the faucets in regards to player time. If I spend my time doing activity X, is it worthwhile? Is it rewarding? And is it fun? And then different activities and different rewards for different play styles and types of player. So let's take mining and World of Warcraft, for example, right? I like crafting in Star Citizen. I like space trucking. I'm all about that life. But if you have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of bots farming all of the resources and flooding the auction house and the economy, all of a sudden a mechanic which I would have ordinarily enjoyed, going out and farming and mining to create cool items, isn't worth doing because the price has been plummeted so low. So yeah, not just cheating, but cheating and botting and kind of like all of these mechanics fundamentally break the fun of player time invested into various activities.
I want to put together terms I've learned over the past few months and kind of where I think this is impacting, and I think it's really cool. So I've spoken to a lot of directors in gaming, and everyone talks about finding the fun, find that gameplay loop that's fun. And now what you're saying are cheaters are exploiting this gameplay loop. So if I am a crafter and I like doing this, I want to come in every day. I just want to keep mining. I want to be fair. I want to go to the market and do it. All of a sudden, everything's inflated. It sucks because cheaters came and exploited the fun loop, and now I don't want to engage anymore as the player.
Exactly the same loop, but with a different scenario, right? Let's say that you're a hardcore raider. You love beating the hardest content in the game. There's a really rare item. It has a very low drop chance. You and all of your mates have been doing this for months to try and get this item. It finally drops. It's worth so much money. Huzzah. Except actually, there's lots of them on the auction house because, again, people are cheating and people are exploiting gameplay mechanics or whatever to be able to get this item. So, like, game developers can build these loops, they can build these mechanics, they can build this like perfect scenario of how they want stuff to work. But if the rules are fundamentally broken by players, unfortunately, it breaks that reward. It devalues the player's time. So yeah, as much as it can be simple as mining with ore, it can work with high value items from hardcore raids. It can work from grinding PvP. You want to get that illustrious title. You want to show off that you're amazing. That takes a huge amount of physical time commitment and effort to put in. All of a sudden, if you have a bot account that's just farming honorable kills in a battleground or something like that, you're grinding that honor while you're away. Like it devalues it for other players. It's shit, is what it is. I don't like it. It's
So let's go to the second part of the point that you made earlier was that cheating is a business. And when we had our pre-call, you were telling me about the different kind of makeups of these groups that cheat. Can you, for
yeah,
our listeners, kind of maybe start high level to explain what we're looking at when we talk about cheating in game and how that kind of breaks down?
for sure. So the term that I'll use is cartel, because that's a term that's used fairly frequently in the industry. Um, Basically, when people think of people who cheat in games, they think of a sweaty little nerd on his computer, just messing around with some cheats and stuff like that. And there are lots of those, but there's also a much bigger organization at play, and it's split into specialisms, right? So you will have people who just develop cheats. You will have people who then just use some of the best developed cheats with very sophisticated, expensive setups. So they can be running two computers and they can use something called DMA, direct memory access, to connect the two to make the cheat harder to detect. They'll then play with these cheats to be able to either kill other players, to boost accounts, to get items that they can sell for in game currency. Whatever they're using the cheats for, it's generally to monetize it in real world money. So that could be selling items, it could be selling in game currency, it could be selling boosted accounts, it could be a whole range of stuff. So you have the people that make the cheats, you have then the people who like play with the cheats in order to RMT, real money trade. You also then get people who crack accounts. So this could be that they're either sending out phishing campaigns, they could be socially engineering. There's been some sophisticated links where people will click a link that looks legitimate. And what it'll do is it'll send the link to all of the friends list. And then it'll actually scrape the account details. So like, and it'll spread like that. They basically harvest these account details and they'll sell them to the people who cheat. So the people who cheat are buying the cheats and they're buying the account details. They're then playing with these burnt accounts, these cracked accounts, to real money trade to make their profit. And if they get caught, they just copy and paste in details. Next one, copy and paste in details. Next one, copy and paste in details. Next one. And then there's a money laundering side to this as well. There's so many layers to it. So there is this kind of like institutional level of kind of like organized cheating. Absolutely. And it goes into way more detail, but
Yeah,
that's
no, that's great. And for people that are listening that want more detail, let us know like, kind of what are the metrics that are exciting to you, because I think it's cool. But I'm curious, do you have any numbers like that you can share, like cheating wise, like how much it costs studios or things like that?
So there's one gentleman who shall remain nameless who works on the anti-cheat side of things for a big game that I was having a conversation with the other day. He said one of the things that really upsets him is the people that make cheats make more money for selling the cheats on their game than they make on their game. That was eye-opening to me. Anecdotally, I've heard directors of studios and senior people say anywhere between 10 to 30% of people, depending on game and genre and stuff. That's a very wild number, but are cheating at any given time. That blew my mind as well. Yeah, and the big problem is these studios and these developers, everybody that I've spoken to has said, we don't want cheating in our game. Like they have a real problem, which is if you talk about the problem, you're admitting there's a problem. And if you don't talk about the problem, players are like, oh, they're not doing anything about it and they don't know there's a problem. So it's a lose-lose for studios, but they just don't have enough weapons to actually, if you've got a team of 20 developers in-house, which is a huge payroll, right? Working full-time on anti-cheating systems and detection models and keeping your game as clean as possible. For every person you employ, there will be 1,000 external developers with a vested interest in trying to beat those systems, and they're going to work 24/7. They're going to make much more money than your employees. They're from selling cheats and stuff. It's just this cat and mouse, except the cat who's the game developer is arthritic and 17 years old, and the mouse is absolutely hench and is more akin to Sonic the Hedgehog. It's not really a fair fight.
You validate the business, and now we go back to Andrew, who's making this bet with his mates. And when you start thinking about the solution, how do you approach it? How do you start writing down these notes saying, this is what I want to do? Kind of, I want to understand how we validate this vision.
Well, it started off with me just chatting with my mates, and we were just like, "Why has no one done anything about this?" And we, for hours and hours and hours, we spoke about this. And basically, what we all came to is, why isn't there a way that you can prove who you are, and then that's tied to you? South Korea have a system like this where you have to basically tie your version of a social security number to your game account, and if you're caught cheating, especially if you're doing it to monetize, there's even been cases of people being jailed because it's akin to fraud. Right? They take it very, very seriously. There's also this is a complete tangent, but me and my mates were talking about how most of the top esports folks are South Korean, and we were like, why is that the case? And I think it comes from a culture perspective. Like they have more respect, less tolerance for bullshit, more kind of like a pursuit of perfection in gameplay and stuff like that as well. they have so much less toxicity, they have so much less abuse, they have so much less cheating, hacking, botting, stuff like that. And I think because there's such a higher degree of playing legitimately and trying to excel legitimately, it means that they end up with a higher caliber talent pool. But that's an aside. So yeah, we were like, there's precedent for this, right? Like South Korea has a system like this, and the experiment of seeing how that's run is very positive, like it seems. Why isn't there something like that in the West? And what I basically came to was, what would it look like if people had to KYC, but done in a way that we don't see or store any of the information that's used? Because in the West, anonymity absolutely has to remain. People, and me included, I'm not going to tie my passport to any of my game accounts, but I would tie a random anonymized identifier for me that isn't actually my passport or anything. So the game studio doesn't know anything about me. Nobody's any the wiser. No one can trace it back to me, but I can be held accountable. So I was like, okay, that seems like a good system. So I just recorded a really crappy little video of me talking, and I just put it on Reddit. And I spent a couple of $100 on some Reddit ads, and I was just like, and I put it to some gaming communities, and I was like, hey, I'm thinking of making this thing. Tell me, do you think it's a good idea, a terrible idea? Would you use it? Would you hate it? Am I stupid? Give me the honest feedback. And the overwhelming majority was, this is really good. Me and my mates would pay $5 a month for this, $10 a month for this, $20 a month for this. Me and my friends talk about this every single night. Why isn't this a thing? I want this to be in all games. Now, there were lots of really good questions and feedback. What's your data privacy going to be? What's your security going to be? What's your terms of service going to be? How are you going to keep us anonymized? How are you, actual really good questions. But there were very few people that basically told us to fuck off, except for a guy called Swamp Jesus, who will live in my head rent-free forever.
Shout out to
Yeah,
Swamp Jesus.
that's it. Yeah, Reddit checking out right there, on brand. But yes, I forgot about Swampy.
It's fine. I'm curious. Sorry. Like, it blows my mind because, here in the States right now, we're going through this transition where there's certain states that are requiring user identification for adult content on websites. And there's pushback here. And I'm curious, like, I love the technology. I think it's great. And I know it's anonymous, so they still need to upload a picture of their driver's license. I know it's not to you, right? It's through
Yeah.
FIDO. But, like, there's still that, all right, well, I have to do this. And is that a pain point you're feeling yet, or something you think you will feel, or or you don't think you will?
No, it's a great question. So you have to take a picture of your face and verify your ID to look at porn. Okay, that's use case one. Use case two is you verify yourself with us, and then we don't share any of your information to any product or service that you connect it to. So you verify yourself with us once, and then any of the adult content wouldn't see your details. Any of the game services wouldn't see your details. I think there's a wider conversation to this, but I think that's kind of the crux of it, right? And I feel that, right? Like, I wouldn't want to connect my personally identifiable information and verify myself to any platform or service outside of that of a financial institution, an insurance company, a real world, like real thing that matters. And anything that's kind of like sensitive, or that we feel is sensitive, if it's traced back to us, we're immediately like, no, because the risk is too high against the friction that's being put before me. So I completely understand that friction and why it's being taken that way from the States. I have been absolutely staggered. Okay, I thought that there were going to be loads of problems with our side of things, right? Our game's going to integrate us. Will they even want to have a conversation about it? Are they going to tell us to just fuck off straight out the gate? Are they actually in on it? Right? Are they actually letting people cheat so that they can make more money? I don't know these things. I'm not an actual game dev at these companies. Who knows, right? Is it a case that they don't care about players, like all of this kind of stuff? Are North American users going to be more privacy centric and be like, no, we're never going to verify ourselves? Are users in general outside of North America going to feel the same way? Like, there were all of these bits that I was like, so many ways in which this could have fallen down. But we've seen north of 5,500 users come and pre-register on our website, not even having a live game integration yet. They're like, we want to PlaySafeID, and they're telling us the games that they want us to integrate with. We've had two major games come and reach out to us and say, hey, let's talk about what you're doing because we don't have any weapons left to fight this and we want to fight this. And these are two games which, and I can't wait until we announce these, but they're two games that the community would generally have the sentiment they don't care about cheating. So to see that players are willing to KYC, to see that people like the privacy preserving way that we're doing this, the way that we're preserving anonymity but still retaining accountability, to see that game studios are receptive to actually wanting to solve this problem, I'm so relieved because I was scared, mate. It could have gone the other way.
You bring up a great point. Is like I'm a big Redditor. Sounds like you are, and I think Reddit's kind of this hive mind where you just hear something, and it's a lot louder on Reddit than anywhere else. And people talk about
Agreed.
their hatred of certain things. And like I'm sitting yesterday, I downloaded Tony Hawk 3 and 4, and like before you could play the game, you just got to scroll through this I agree list, and I'm just sitting there like, oh, I'm just scrolling through this for 3 minutes, not reading a single word here, and I'm agreeing to something. So clearly, people are just gonna say, "Hey, I want to play this game. I don't want cheaters. I'm going to upload what I need to upload." And maybe the 10 people on Reddit who are listening are going to be complaining about it, but the majority of people just want a safe place to play, and they'll do what they need to do to be able to play with the people they want to play with.
And I think there'll be a tech adoption to this as well, right? Like we'll have our early adopters who are just
Mm-hmm.
like, I hate cheating so much and I love gaming so much. I'll do whatever it takes. And, they'll be our early. And then there's the people who are, a little bit on the fence. If this, and we've seen this across, I've spent maybe like $10,000 on Reddit ads since we've got funded to run some experiments and to test some marketing stuff. And there are lots of people that are like, if this gets integrated in a couple of the games that I love, I think that I'd sign up for it, but I kind of want to wait and see. Absolutely cool. You then get the people who are not, they don't like it or they don't want it, but no game's going to integrate this because they make money from cheers. Completely cool, completely understand the mentality. But I'm interested to see what happens to them once we get the integrations. If they're then like, oh, cool, we'll do it. Or if it'll be, oh, now it's this other problem that we're going to fight you. So, but I think there'll be an adoption where
Mm-hmm.
the hardest part of what I'm trying to do is getting the first million users, right? Getting the first million users is going to be a million times harder than going from 49 million to 50 million. Like that should happen quite quickly and be relatively effortless. But going from 0 to a million is going to be the absolute hardest thing that I do in my life, and the whole of my team as well. If we can do that and we can demonstrate that games like this, players have a better time, players retain better, spend more, they are better customers because of this. Game studios will adopt this like crazy in theory, and it would just be wonderful to make that impact. But I think there'll be an adoption curve. We'll see the early adopters that are like, yeah, let's just go. There'll be sort of like an early majority who are a bit more tentative, but easier to come in. And then the majority, I think, will need to see the proof in the pudding from the beginning first.
So let's call this chapter 3. We came up with the idea, we validated the idea. Now you need to grow to that million number, right? You're starting to build the tools. You have some partnerships in place. You've gotten some funding. Let me know how this process now started, and how do you continue that momentum moving?
It's momentum. That's the whole thing of what we're doing, right? Like if we are able to show that there are an extraordinary volume of players that want this, and we're able to get these integrations live and they go well and players are happy for it, these are very sort of like mid-sized games, but very popular, very kind of like staple games within the industry. That will be quite a signal to the rest of the industry and much larger games as to the sentiment of players and the opportunity at hand, and potentially a new weapon in their arsenal to keep cheaters, hackers, bots, and predators out. We're speaking a lot about cheating, but we obviously keep predators, people who are inappropriate to children, out of games as well. So there's this, it's momentum. It's all momentum. Like we're at the point now that we're going to be able to start talking about these integrations in the next month or 6 weeks. At the point that we're able to do that, we're able to announce these. It's then onboard as many players as we can for the go live date, have a successful integration with them, actually solve this problem from them, be able to case study it, because all eyes will be on us at that point, industry wide. With a bastion for doing something brand new, like ID verification for gaming to keep cheaters and bad actors out. This isn't just a use case for, is PlaySafe ID good at this? This is a use case for human behavior with the internet and gaming. It's a bigger kind of thing. So I think we'll be very under the microscope. And if we do a good job, then I think we'll have integrations left, right, and center. And with those, millions more players, and then more integrations, and millions of players, and more integrations, and millions of players. There's going to be so many problems that we'll have to deal with. And there's, one thing that I've discovered is when things go badly, you have 5 problems to fix. And when things go really well, you have 10 problems to fix. So
Mhm.
I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm saying it very nonchalantly, but momentum, I think, is the answer, and keep the momentum going.
How would you, I guess, your mindset coming in, would you say you were an entrepreneur? What are some of the learning experiences that hit you hard as someone that's now the founder of their own business?
When I was like 7 years old, I was down at the local village hall working on cake stands and flower stands, doing
Nice.
that stuff. I was an athlete. I skied very competitively, and did that internationally. Um, I left school at 16 because I was a great student, but I just didn't like academia. I wanted to do something more meaningful, something more fun. So I went and I trained as a chef. I did that. I rose the ranks. I flew up really quickly. I ended up doing the Michelin star thing. I was a pastry chef at Le Gavroche in Mayfair. And then I was a chef de partie at Scott's of Mayfair as well. So I did the whole London Michelin star thing. Then I made some mates when I was in London, and they worked in like tech and marketing, and they were making triple my money and working a third of my hours. And I was like, I want to have a wife and kids one day. I can't do that being a chef, like as cool as this is. And I was really interested in the stuff that they shared with me. So I applied for an apprenticeship in digital marketing at this company. I ended up doing an interview process with them. They actually ended up offering me a full-time job instead. And I was like, okay, this is amazing. Flew through the ranks there. I ended up founding a jeweler's just as a mess around project. That did quite well. We then came across some supply chain issues. So it's like, okay, I can't scale it to the way that I want to, but that was cool. So no, I've always started businesses and started projects and tried stuff, and I failed an immense number of times at so many things in my life. It's ridiculous. Um, but it's part of that bet that I made when I was 16. It's like, I'm going to take the opportunities, I'm going to take the risks, I'm going to try the things out, and we'll see where we can get to. And I think that all of those learnings over the last 16 years, whether it was being a chef, the work ethic, start work at 7, finish work at 1 a.m., be up in 5 hours, do it again, do that 14 days in a row for 2 days off. Like, I remember on the last day of that shift spree, I thought I was dead. Like, I didn't feel like I was walking. I felt like I was like levitating. I was exhausted. And I don't recommend this to anyone, by the way. Like, my life has been pain, but there's learnings from all of these things, right? Whether it's the work ethic from being a chef, and the precision and how to work in a team, and that everyone matters and everything matters, and the smallest detail matters, and the smallest thing can unhinge a otherwise perfect service and throw everyone into the shit, and how do you all come together to overcome that, through to all of the digital marketing experience, to the operations experience, to the finance experience, to the sales experience. Like, um, it's put me in a position that I think I have a really good tool set now for being able to be on the big boy stage and, build a really good product, understand all of the moving parts very competently, and help force this thing into existence. So yeah.
I think it's important to always keep in mind that if you're still trying and you're still building new things, those past startups were not failures, right? They were learning experiences where you kind of learn what went well
Exactly.
and what didn't go well, and you build on that. It's when you give up that you admit defeat. But if you're still building upon something, right, you keep going. You're taking these skills, you're using them again for later.
100%, as long as you're extracting those lessons from it. Like, if
Yeah.
you're not extracting the lessons and you're repeating the same mistakes time and time again, then maybe take a good hard long look. But if you're, you know you lose or you fail because you didn't know something, or because something happened and you weren't equipped to deal with it, or you didn't see it coming, or whatever. And being able to retrospectively look at and analyze what went wrong, why wasn't I prepared for this, what was the roadblock here, what was the stumbling. Is it that the universe hates me and woe me? Probably not. It's probably because there was something you just didn't know that happened, and that's okay. Not everyone knows everything, and now you know it, so learn from it. That's
Yeah.
maybe not the most gentle advice, but
No, something. I mean, I'm a New Yorker, and we always say just be blunt, right? We want to just hear what it is. Don't beat around it. Just be as blunt as possible. And
I'm British with a polar opposite, mate. It's
yeah, right. Just too nice. Tiptoe around everything. No, we're just straight shooters, right? There's not enough time. Just get to the point, go where you need to go. And I think it's important to collect this feedback, collect these learnings, and go from there. What is one misconception about cheating you think that needs to be cleared up in the industry?
Game developers don't like it. Game developers don't want it. Game developers aren't complicit in it. The biggest misconception is that game developers make money from it, because 99% of the time, and that's not a factual number, that's just anecdotally off the top of my head, just if anyone goes to fact check me later, 99% of the time, cheating either happens on free-to-play accounts that will not monetize and people don't monetize with, in which case there's no money there, or it's on cracked accounts where they've bought them for cents on the dollar. Like, they're not buying full price copies of the game to carry on playing. So the game developers aren't seeing the money from it. They don't have an incentive to have cheaters in the game. All it does is harm the player base, harm retention, and harm the longevity. Game developers do not like cheating in games. They just are in this really, really difficult position of, what do we do?
I think you nailed it by saying it harms the player base. It harms the longevity of the game, right? Like, they're not monetizing. Yeah, it's great that you have more monthly active users, even if they're not in the game, but they're hurting the game. It's a disease. You want to be able to cut this off before it just becomes unmanageable, and and then your community becomes toxic, and then you're digging out of a much bigger hole than you were before. We always like to say kind of inclusivity by design, right? Like, when you're building this stuff out from stage 1, stage 2, you can plan for this stuff. You can build it out, and it's things that should be top of mind now, right? There's so many live service games. There's so many online games, right? Like, this is where you're going to make your money. And you shouldn't go out there just wanting to make money. You should want to be creating these inclusive environments where people are safe, people are protected, they're not getting trolled, they're not getting cheated, they're not getting bullied, right? And cut those characters out so you can grow organically with good stuff rather than just crap numbers.
I think one of the biggest hitting bits for me is the cost to reacquire a churned user is exponentially higher than the cost to acquire that user in the first instance. It's like, if you're going to make a game and you want to make a game that people play and that people love and a game that's successful, there's few things worse than the feeling of blatantly being cheated on in a game, because you're just like, fuck this is bullshit, whatever, right? And if you have that happen 1 in 100 games, you're probably fine. If you have that happen 1 in 3 games, you're probably going to uninstall that game, right? And it's not a nice feeling as a player, and it's not a good spot to be in as a game developer. It's a really hard problem to fight.
So I'm just going to throw kind of random questions at you.
Shoot. Right.
What is your dream vacation?
I would very much like to sit in a hot tub all day, every day for like a week, just completely alone in the woods with nothing but the sounds of birds tweeting. No noise, no distractions, just quiet. That would be... That didn't used to be my dream vacation, and then I had a family.
Yeah, now there's no... Good luck with that. Last game you played?
I was about to say Apex Legends, but I've currently got Rocket League open running in the background, so that would have been a lie. Yeah, Rocket League.
What was the game that made you want to get into the gaming industry?
Oh, that's such a good question. There is no one game. There's been an accumulation of phenomenal games that left such an impact on me. I was like, my dream would be to work in this space. So Zone of the Enders, Final Fantasy 9 and 10, Kingdom Hearts. I mean, you can probably tell I've got Jehute from Zone of the Enders there, Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy there. The early Call of Duties, the early Medal of Honor, just so many. World of Warcraft, tens of thousands of hours in WoW over the last 15 years. I cancelled my WoW subscription the other day, and they said, sorry to see you go after 15 years. And I was just like, my WoW account is almost old enough to drink.
You got to keep it going then. Only 6 more, I guess, 6 more years here. And was it 3 more by you?
Three more over here.
Yeah.
But no one game in particular, just a lot of these stories and characters and worlds. And I grew up in rural Suffolk in the countryside, so bus routes were rubbish, and the ability to like travel and stuff was kind of rubbish. So gaming was my entertainment. It was my escape. It was my way to chill out. And then when online gaming became a thing, it was my way to, socialize with lots of people that I would have never have otherwise got to met. So no one game, but an accumulation of lots of amazing games.
Love it.
You interviewed very well, by the way. You ask good questions. You're very personable
Thank
and
you.
likable.
It's just, it's really all just curiosity, right? I've always been a curious person, how shit works, for lack of better words, and understanding how it all connects. And when you start learning about the gaming space, when you're younger, not younger, right? Let's go back 5 years. I'm sitting like, why does a game take 7 years to make? Why are they announcing this game takes 7 years? It's bullshit, man. They have 500 people working on it. How's it taking that long? And then you
Billion
see,
dollar budget. You could
right,
do
like,
that in a
come on,
couple
man,
of
I could do
weeks.
that in 5 years with that budget. But then you like start to see the composers, composing, producers, and how everything being made all around the world, all having to connect it, and it's crazy. And now the value that you see in trust and safety, and I'm in this whole weird space of mine. Like, all right, well, am I doing content creation? Am I doing marketing? Am I doing this? And there's this kind of a overlap of how all these things are kind of coming into one, on how this is what marketing is. It's how do you get in front of the right audience? The right audience isn't in New York or New Jersey with me, right? My right audience for the game that I'm building might be in Asia. And I never realized that, right? And I don't think people realize the power of social media and how I can get in front of marketing. Like, I still talk to people that don't want to do marketing on Reddit. I'm just like, you have the type of game that most people aren't
Reddit has been
on social
amazing.
media reading this shit. They want to read lore. They want to read this stuff. They're on Reddit. Like, put your money on Reddit. They're like, no, we're just going to do this stuff and wait for them to start coming and telling
I'm
their
going to do
friends, like,
Facebook.
not having,
Yes.
yeah, right, Facebook. Like, everyone's like, why'd you stop posting to Facebook, Greg? Like, because Facebook is shit. And, like, I don't need to advertise to my mom. She's going to watch no matter
Reddit
what.
is. How much do you know about the origin of Rocket League?
Not a ton.
Cool. So Rocket League actually launched originally, I think it was 15 years ago,
Uh-huh.
or like 10 years ago, and it was called Supersonic Acrobatic Rocket Powered Battle Cars.
Really?
Yes, and the art style was horrible. It
I
was
love
really,
it.
really
Rolls
horrible.
off your tongue, though.
Terrible name, terrible art style. And basically, there was a publisher that came across it and was like, yo, if you like keep all of the mechanics, like the actual like mechanics that you have, the hit reg that you have, the everything, chef's kiss, perfect. Keep it all. Change the art style, for God's sake, change the name. And they did, and then it exploded. So it's just like, yeah, I just complete off. I can't
No,
remember
but
why
it
that
is.
came
I
to my
love
head,
it, man.
but
Right? Like, it's this whole world of, like, especially I love it now because you have so many indie developers that are doing such cool shit. But there's a couple of buts and a lot of big buts. It's always like, oh, industry veterans from EA and blah 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 and blah blah. These guys never worked together. It's not like I could
yes,
take the best players from all these sports teams and then go get like a hockey player, a basketball player, a baseball player, saying, "Oh, the greatest from
exactly.
all the sports are going to play and beat you in all these sports." Like, no, like, first of all, their egos are huge. We don't know if they can work together. They don't, like. I don't give a fuck who you've been or what you've done before. Like, you haven't worked together as a team. So I think that's interesting in the indie space because I think they're going to push it, but you don't know what's going to come of it. And if you could find a way to get these voices to be louder or more united or something like that, like, there's power in it, but it's so sprawled out. I don't know how I got to this side of the topic. I
It's
had the
great.
indie thing in mind there. It's just like, they're all right there. You just got to reposition yourself, and we're starting to see that with Double A, right? Double A is coming back, and they kind of rebranded as Triple I or whatever, right? Like, it's happening, and it's cool to see how community's helping that. You see, Claire Obscure, right? People are loving Claire Obscure
Expedition
and all these
33,
other
yeah, yeah.
games, and it's like, all right, like, gaming is coming back to what gaming was. It's not becoming Candy Crush being pushed down our throats. It's kind of like the old school games are being made again.
I think what we're going to see is the resurgence of creative people, people with passion, people that want to make. People forget games aren't just a game that you sit down and play. It's narrative, it's art, it's sound design, it's an immersive world. It's how populated is that world? Are the things to do in it fun? Is the time that I invest worth it for the activities that I'm doing in terms of fun that I receive? It's then the number crunching of the game economics to make sure that that actually works out and is stable. It's the anti-cheat, it's the trust and safety, it's the player experience, it's the customer support, it's the people that build the levels, the worlds, it's the optimization of the game. There's so many parts to get this thing together that looks good. And if you just have Suits driving it, which is make it good enough and get it out the door so we can sell enough units that we can hit shareholder, meet our quarterly report that we put together so we look good for shareholders, versus like the Expedition 33 folks, small team, love making games, made the best. The guy that did the sound for Expedition 33 The CEO of the studio heard some of his stuff on SoundCloud, and then just messaged him, and it was like, your sound that you make is great. Do you want to work on this? And he was just like, yeah, that'd be dope. And they just came together. It was just passionate people who love doing what they're doing coming together with a clear vision of what they were going to do, and they made this great game. But churning out shit for the sake of churning out shit leaves you with shit.
There's a lot more that Andrew has to share. You can check it out more on playerdriven.io. And you can check out PlaySafe in general at PlaySafeID.com. We'll have links in the Player Driven blog post that talks about Andrew. It has links to him and his stuff as well. And let us know, for those who are listening, have you played a game where cheating just killed the entire vibe, where things were just so annoying you couldn't take it anymore? If you have those stories, share it with us, and we'll talk about them next time on the episode. Thanks all, and have a great week.